Hey, besties and bosses, happy Tuesday. I'm excited to hang with y'all and chat about this topic. So what's really interesting about this topic, we're gonna talk all about how to make the right decision in your business. What's fascinating, I was thinking about this when I was just prepping a few of the notes for this, is when I started my business. So I started my business as a general life coach before I became a business coach, because I hadn't built a business yet. That came second. And one of the first videos and one of the first, I think, opt-ins I ever had, and one of the first, I think, even free calls I did was around what we're talking about today. So it's so cool to see how, some things change and some things just don't change at all. And just how this has been a topic that has felt important for such a long time in my business. And I just see the power of decision making, and I see how important this is as a business owner. So really cool to see that full circle. As you're joining on, say hey, and if you're watching on the replay as well. This is something, as we're gonna dive into this today, it feels so important, in fact, for business owners, and I see this impact business and business results on every level to such a degree that when new clients sign up with me, this is actually a tool and something I put in their welcome packet. So I'm really excited because I don't think we've chatted about this in this group like ever. So I'm excited to chat about this. I'll give you a little preface as to where this came up, why we're talking about this topic, and then we'll chat a little bit more about decisions, how they impact your business, how they impact your results. And then we'll do a little, not really training, but like a group exercise around really this one thing, this one tool that I believe it just simplifies making decisions and allows you to know you're always making the right decision for you and your business and what you actually want to create. And I'll walk you through that today on our live, so that hopefully that'll be really easy and you can take that tool away from this live stream. So where this came from, why we're even chatting about this, as many of you know, I do mindset work regularly, I journal regularly, and I was journaling recently and writing a whole lot of gratitude. I made a joke in the email around this. I said, let's be real, happy tears. I get a little teary sometimes with gratitude, but I was really writing gratitude for my business and just the life I've created, and also just some gratitude around, there have been, many of you know, outside of COVID, and this year I lost my father this year to cancer, and that was challenging, but I was also writing some gratitude around that and just the choices and decisions I made to spend time with him, and really how beautiful, while challenging, how beautiful that chapter of this year has been for me, and how I really feel like I have no regrets, even though there's grief and sadness around that. So I was journaling, and I was asking myself questions when I was journaling. I often self-coach, and one of the things I noticed as I was kind of unpacking this is like, how did all of this come to be? And I realized as I kind of rewound the tape back from present day, what I feel so grateful to have. My business, I'm very blessed, I'm fully booked. I've been booked for years. I'm overbooked actually at this point. I have a multi-six-figure business. I also have a life that I actually love. I have a significant other. I feel happy and joyful. I feel like I've been able to move past depression and challenging things in my life without medication, so to say. I just feel like even my business model, I chat about this with you all the time, like I feel like I don't just have success, but I have the success I want. I'm not chasing someone else's version of success, which is what I'm always preaching in this group. And so kind of rewinding the tape, like how did that happen? Because something I truly believe is that this is something my coach talks about a lot, no one accidentally becomes successful. No one accidentally creates the life that they want. No one accidentally stumbles into a successful business, right? This is always the result of a series of decisions and choices and actions. And so I was rewinding the tape back, and what I realized as I was rewinding and rewinding and rewinding is everything up until now is absolutely the result of decision after decision, after big decision, after small decision, after hard decision, after easy decision that I've made in my business and in my life, and making what I call the right decision, even if it didn't seem like the easy or right decision at the time in my business or for my life. And it was really interesting to see that when I took a look at some of those decisions in isolation, many of them in isolation on their own don't seem like that big of a deal, right? If you look at any single one of those small decisions, I might be like, oh, that's not even a big deal. But when I look over the course of many years and I started looking at how many decisions led to, hey, Alexandra, nice to have you on. Thanks for saying hi. Always nice to know who's live. Sort of like I'm talking at a wall. Thank you. when I was looking at these decisions, again, in isolation, any single decision didn't necessarily seem monumental. It didn't seem like such a big deal, even if it was a challenging decision to make in the moment. But when I was kind of tracking like what led up to now and looking at the accumulation of decisions that I have made just over and over again, I really started to see, we talk about the compound effect with money, but I really started to see the compound effect of decisions. How one right decision, in terms of like the right decision for me that was in alignment, how one decision led to another opportunity, how that opportunity led to me making another decision, and how it is quite literally a series and compound of one decision after another that has created where I'm sitting now. And when I look at my clients, when they're creating success, or I look at anyone who is creating their version of success, and you peel back the layers and you rewind the tape, you start to see none of that is ever accidental. No one like poof wakes up accidentally and has everything they want. It is always, if you rewind the tape, a series of these small decisions, sometimes that seem inconsequential, that add up over time to create these epic, massive results. Tony Robbins has a quote that I love to quote. I might butcher it. I think it is, let me see if I can remember this. It's in the moment of your decisions that your destiny is made, or your destiny is shaped. I might have one or two words off there, but this is something Tony Robbins says, and I absolutely believe that to be true. And this is why I think being able to make decisions, and not just any decisions, but the right decisions for the success you want to step into and create, is an invaluable skill and asset as a business owner. It is also one of, I think, the most challenging things for so many business owners and entrepreneurs, because what happens with decisions, right? We don't know how, like, there's so much that can come up. Fear can come up. What if I'm making the wrong decision? There's so much noise in the online space telling you what decision to make. It's really hard to know, should I listen to this? Should I listen to this? Can I trust my gut? Is that fear? We get into decision fatigue. That's almost a whole nother conversation, but decision fatigue, they've done studies, your brain caps out at a certain number of decisions at the end of the day. So we have limited amounts of decisions we can make. There's so much, I think, challenge that can come up around decision. I think this is probably one of the things I coach clients around more often than you would think, because again, making decisions does not always come naturally or easily, and yet it is one of those skills that is absolutely essential, because every single result you have or don't have is the result of a decision you've made or a decision you have not made. Something I like to remind clients, especially when we're looking at things like strategy, or we're looking at the results they want to decide ahead of time that they're going to have, that not making a decision is also a decision. I think sometimes when we get into indecision and we're overthinking, or we're in that analysis paralysis or in fear, I think there's a part of our brain that likes to lie to us, that tells us, okay, so if you just don't make a decision, then you'll stay safe. Not making a decision, you'll be fine. And what I want to remind you is not making a decision is also a decision. I'm going to use a fitness example here in a moment, and then I want to walk through the tool. I swear this tool is magic. It will simplify everything. It will blow your mind, because I think it's just so fucking brilliant. Alexandra says, yes, making decisions is still something I'm getting better at doing, especially when I'm faced with many options. I'm going to share with you, I swear this makes everything so much easier. It is my filter for every decision, so I can't wait to share this with you. Hey, Lori Ann, she says, your decisions and choices are what got you to this place. Yes, so succinctly said, and so true. And that goes for every area of your life. So I'll use a fitness example, I'll use a dating example before we kind of go into this tool. But I like to think about that, if you know anyone who is super in shape, I'm gonna use my significant other because he is very in shape. And it's very easy to look at me like, oh, well, isn't that nice? You're in shape. And I think what's really fascinating is he is in shape because of a multitude of small decisions he has made over and over again, very intentionally, for what he wants, right? He decided he wanted to be fit and in shape. He decides very consciously, he makes a decision at every meal what he's going to eat. He makes a decision every day to go to the gym. He makes a decision, what he's going to do at the gym. He makes a decision to not hit snooze, when his alarm goes off. He makes a decision. These are all a series of decisions. And in any single day, you might be like, all right, that's one little decision. That's one little decision. But you start to add those decisions up day after day after day, and they compound real quickly to get those results. Similar to anyone who's in a relationship, right? I think that's just a great thing to see. Like, even if you feel like you just, like love just landed in your lap, you first had to decide you're open to a relationship. You have to decide to put yourself out there to meet someone. I met my significant on Tinder. I had to decide to get onto Tinder. I had to decide to swipe right. I had to decide to be available. I had to decide to communicate. And again, these seem like such little things, but I think we don't realize how often our brain is just making decisions, and how often we're making decisions without intentionality or without awareness, right? How many of us have made a decision 3 years ago to eat a certain way and just mindlessly go to the cabinet, open something up and just start eating without even realizing what decision we made 3 years ago, how that's affecting us in the moment. And that's why I want to have this conversation, because then when we bring it over to business, it's the same thing. If we're not intentionally making decisions, what happens is some decision you made, usually based on a belief system or a fear at some point at the start of your business, or some point, from the subconscious mind, or when you're not paying attention, is affecting your current day business results. How fit, how in shape your business is a series of those small decisions, often that you have made unconsciously or without awareness. And so there's so much power when you can start to bring awareness and intentionality to those decisions, again, because they shape every single result you get. Lorianne says, yes, no decision is a decision. Exactly. No decision it's such a big decision. And y'all, it's such a big decision. It's like such a, I am just not going to be a co-creator of my own life. I'm not going to be a co-creator of my own business. I'm just not going to decide. I'm going to let go of personal responsibility and let, the universe, the world, someone else decide for me. I think there's so much power and personal power we take back, and personal responsibility. It's like such a great way in business to let go of that victimhood when you decide, I'm going to make decisions. I'm going to very clearly and intentionally make decisions, even if they're challenging decisions. Lorianne says, love that about your man. He's so great for examples too. He's such a fun one for, I feel like I always get good decisions from him. Seeing if we have any other comments here. One more thought on decisions, because I think they're just so important to understand how they affect your business. And then we'll dive into this tool that I'm obsessed with. So the other thing I really think about decisions, aside from the personal responsibility and how they compound and how they affect your business. But I think when you make a decision with intention from a conscious place versus when you're just reacting to a decision almost on autopilot that you made years ago or without any intentionality, I think what you really consciously do is you make a commitment to yourself and to your business. Or, if we're talking about fitness or health or relationships, you're making a commitment there. But if we think about business, when you consciously make that intentional decision, you make a commitment to yourself and to your business, which is, I think, where there's so much weight with a decision. And again, this isn't weight like as in pressure, but weight in terms of this is where decisions become so powerful. When you decide very clearly, I'm going to be a successful business owner and I'm going to show up and share content every single day. I'm making something up here though, but that is such a line in the sand. That is such a place of stepping into your own personal power. That is such a commitment to yourself and to your business that really helps make those results you want inevitable. The same way as when you decide, I'm gonna not hit snooze and get out of bed and go for that run every day or go to the gym every day because I've decided I'm someone who treats their body with respect, or I'm someone who is in shape and fit. That's a commitment you make to yourself and to that result that makes it inevitable. If that makes sense. Courtney says hello. Hey, Courtney, nice to have you on. All the hearts for everyone here. So great, decisions are important. We know we need to make decisions. Decisions as a business owner, one of the most important asset skills you can have. It's essential. And then with that, what happens, right? It's like all that pressure comes on. It's like, well, fuck. Now I don't know how to make a decision. How do I know if I'm making the right decision? There's, so many people telling me what decisions I should make. There's so much advice out there. How the heck do you know you're making the right decision for your business? And how the heck do you know you're making the right decision for your version of success, right? We don't just want to create someone else's success in your business. We want you to create the success that is aligned to what you truly want. What I like to remind my clients, and what I'm going to walk you through here, is that every decision you make, and There is so much noise outside my window, y'all. I'm in New York City and it's, what is it? It's 6:15 here. It's dark out and it's like there's a garbage truck or something or some truck making noise. So apologize for the background noise. Lorianne says, and when you keep your word to yourself, yes. I think Lorianne's replying to what we were talking about, how powerful when you make that decision, it's that commitment. And when you make your word to yourself, like that's just such a way to build self-trust and confidence. Thank you for chiming in with that. Okay, noise has stopped. So what I like to remind my clients when they're really stuck in making a decision, because I think there can almost then feel like pressure where it's like, what if I make the wrong decision? Is this gonna screw up my business? Is this gonna screw up my life? Am I not gonna get what I want? And I think that's when it's really easy to bury your head in the sand and not make a decision, or to get decision fatigue, or to kind of to start overthinking things. And so something I like to remind you is that every decision you make is a values clarification. I was literally talking about this with a client this morning. So perfectly timed for this. So again, every decision you make is a values clarification. And so if you can get very clear on what are your personal values and what are your values in your business, this then becomes the filter you can use to run every decision through. And so I want to walk through how to get clear on those values, because this is game changing for those decisions you make. And this is how you can always ensure you're making the right decision at any given moment for you and for your business, and how you can trust that the decisions you're intentionally making are going to compound to the result you specifically want, not what someone else wants. Because I think that's part of the trap in our online space. There's just so much noise. It's a beautiful thing, but it's also really easy to get wrapped around what someone else's values are, or what someone else's version of success is. So when I say values, I'll kind of break this down, because I think we like touched on this a few weeks ago in a live, and I want to break this down and then give you some prompts you can use to get clear on those business values, but also for how to start making these decisions. So when I'm talking about values, what I don't mean is like good, bad. I'm assuming you know that, but I think sometimes that word can throw people off. I know when I first heard this concept, I got a little bit into like, what do you mean? Like good, bad? Like, and that's not what we're talking about at all. What I'm talking about here are really more those priorities that are very important to you. So everyone has values and priorities. What I find happens for so many of us, particularly in business, so you might be really clear on those values in your personal life, but there's this really fascinating thing I think in business, especially when you're in that phase where it's like, I'm in that startup motion where it's like, it feels like I gotta just hustle to get things going and to book clients, where the thought of like getting clear on priorities and values goes out the window, because there's just so much that you have to do and focus on building that foundation. And the reason why this is so important at that stage and every stage is how you build something tends to be how you sustain it, because again, all of those decisions you make in that foundation building process are going to affect your results, and they're going to affect how you're showing up, and those are going to be the unconscious decisions you're making later on in your business. Hopefully that makes sense. So whatever stage you're at in business, I invite you to get clear on this if you haven't before. And so what I think is helpful to remember with values, again, it's not about good or bad, but it really is more of those priorities. And the way you know you've arrived at a value for your business or for your personal life is it tends to be more of an emotional state. It tends to tie more into emotionality, which is just helpful to remember as well, because I think even in business and sales, we talk about how much people make decisions from a place of emotion and filter it in with logic. Literally what we're talking about here, right, is making decisions, and then you fill that in with logic. They're emotionally based, they're value based. And so what I think can be helpful for an exercise here, and we kind of work through this together in terms of getting clear on what are your top values in business, is to first brain dump. And if some of you want to share this with me, but just first brain dump, like what are the things that are super important to you in business? What are the things that I like to think from a personal level, like what are some of the things that make me, that are so important to me, or that make me? And then in business, what are the things that are just so important to me as a business owner and to me in business? And I just like to brain dump as many of these things as I can. And kind of side note, side tangent here, I do this exercise regularly because your values and priorities can change. And a lot of times, again, we're kind of running on autopilot. And so it's really helpful to consciously choose and change your values if you need to change the decision-making process in your business. So you can also reprioritize them very consciously this way. So if anyone wants to share any that come to mind, feel free. I can give some examples as well here, but I like to first just start with almost like everything that comes out of my brain and more of those surface level values. So really, what makes me me? What is important to me as a business owner? What's important to me in business? And so you might throw out something like money, booking clients, doing good work. Let's say what makes me me, or what's something important to me on a personal level. This isn't me, but this is one of my clients as we work through this exercise. So I'll show you as an example, cars. So you're just starting to see like, what are just brain dump it out. Don't censor, just get out. Like, what are all of these things? Alexander says, for me, I value structure and order in my business. Great. So structure and order. These are great things. Like, brain dump them out. Then what I invite you to do is, okay, we've got structure, we've got order, we've got money, we've got clients. Like, we've just got some of these things we've thrown out. Then I invite you to take those and ask yourself, and why does this matter to me? What does this give me? So for you, Alexandra, what does structure give you? What does order give you? I might ask myself, y'all know, I love me some money. What does money give me? So for me, I'll use myself as an example here. What money gives me, I believe money, and the way I think about money is it gives me freedom of choice. So that's freedom there for me. It really makes me feel like safe, and it gives me freedom of choice. So maybe it's safety and freedom. Someone else might say, structure, that gives them calm, or that gives them peace of mind. For someone else, money might really tie back to family, right? That buys them back time to be with their family. So maybe time comes up for you, and then family would come up underneath that. So what we want to start to do is keep asking this question: what does this give you? What does this give you? What feeling, what state does this evoke? What am I hoping that if I have more structure, if I have more order, if I make more money, what am I hoping this gives me? What is more of that desired state? Because that's going to tap into more of what that value or priority for you is, instead of just making money, right? Making money can mean so many different things to so many people. We'll use cars as an example. I talked to my client about that, cars was something he really liked. That was a top priority. But when we drilled down into what was that, it was really fascinating to see that was freedom for this client. For someone else, that might mean significance. For when I'm in my car, that makes me feel really significant. For someone else, that might make them feel powerful. For someone else, that might represent adventure. And so I say that again just as an example, so you can see that how we all might have very similar surface level things we brain dump out that are important values or important things we put out for what's important to us in business. But when you drill down, you'll start to see what are more specifically those values that are important to you. I'll comment on this comment in a second. So when someone books a discovery call with me, something I always want to get clear on is what do they want to create together? What is that result they want in their business? Let me just readjust here. And so a lot of times people will tell me, they want to get fully booked, or they want to make a certain amount of money. And a lot of times I will ask them, why is that important to you? So once you have all the money, or once you're fully booked, what does that give you? Why is that important? And the reason I ask is for exactly what we're talking about here. I want to know, what is their true value? Why are they building this business? What is their version of success? Which ties back to these values, because I know then this is going to be, if we work together, what we're going to want to filter their decisions through. This is what we're going to want to filter their strategy through. This is what we're going to want to filter everything through. Of course, they want to get fully booked, but why? Do they want to get fully booked because they then want to build a course because they want time freedom? Do they want to get fully booked because they just love this work and they want to pour out all of this value, got comments popping up, sorry, into the world, and they want to be of service? Do they want to get fully booked because they just want to be at home with their babies and their kids, and family is so important, and they just want that time with their babies, right? Can we see how fully booked can give very different values? And knowing those values is going to completely change the types of decisions as a business owner they're going to make when they're taking a look at strategy and how they're showing up. The person who's all about service or building a community might make very different decisions, even though they have the same goal of getting fully booked, as the business owner who's all about, I want time at home with my babies. Two very different versions of success, two very different core values. Let me see what these comments say here. Courtney says, I value helping women find confidence they may have lost along the way and leveraging that into creating their brand strategy, accessibility, transparency. I love that. And I wonder for you, Courtney, just like as you don't have to share, but just as you're drilling into this, and what does that give you? Does that give you, I'm just making things up here, but does that give you a sense of significance, connection? I think connection can be a really big one. Confidence, what does that give you? I think that would be really interesting to see from like drilling down into the values. Alexandra says, order and structure offers me direction and ease. Love it. So I hear ease there, which is a big piece, right? So for you, knowing ease is probably a value. That's really helpful to know. And I'll show how this goes into the decision making, but really helpful to know, oh, okay, so one of my top values is ease. This is something I want to filter business decisions through. That's why I want structure. That's why I want direction. Lorianne says, gotta run. Love you so much. So much. I have a value of friendship, and Lori Ann is a friend that I love. So again, just going back to what is that core desired feeling, that core desired state when you keep drilling down and keep asking, like you might have to ask this question a few times, right? So I think Alexandra gave a great example here. Order and structure gave her direction. Direction, why is that important? What does that give her? That gives her ease. Suddenly we have more of a state, more of a feeling. That's how we're more of that core desired feeling or state. Hopefully that makes sense to y'all. Let me see what Courtney says. Yes, I think I got ahead of myself, but yes, this gives me confidence and connection, which I thrive on. So great to see there. So those are probably two core values. Confidence and feeling, probably that confidence, significance, which core value of mine as well. So I feel you on that one. And connection, core value, like two of my core values as well. So really great examples. Thank you for both sharing those. So once you have your core values, what do you do with that? How does this tie into decision making? What I would say is, you're going to brain dump this out. You're probably going to have a ton. Most of us have quite a few. And I would invite you to look out, what are your top 5 to 8? If you can kind of boil them down to like, what are your top 5 to 8 core values? If you go through this in your personal life, in your business, and then if you can, when you get those 5 to 8, can you boil it down to what are your current top 3 values? Because those are going to be what you can run decisions through that are going to really help you make powerful decisions intentionally in your business that serve your business and that serve the success and the life that you actually want. Not what you say you want, not what you think you want, not what someone else tells you should want, but what you actually truly want, which makes it a whole lot easier to create it because again, decisions are going to be what create every single result in your business. But here's what's great. When you're making decisions from this place of alignment to your values, you get your subconscious mind on board, right? It's no longer fighting things because it's aligned to what you truly want. When your subconscious mind is on board, 95 to 99% of all of your conscious action gets it started in your subconscious mind, which suddenly means you're not self-sabotaging. Like everything is running in your business to set you up for the success you actually want, instead of when we're making decisions from kind of up here and from like those surface level things we think we want, that's when we start to make decisions that are out of alignment, which means the subconscious brain is like, that is not what we want. We want time with our family. So I don't know why you're over here trying to do something that takes all of your time away from your family. Let us sabotage this as much as possible because of those decisions, that's not what we really want. We want to make decisions that are in alignment with those values because that's when the subconscious mind, I don't know why I gave the subconscious mind that attitude, but that's when the subconscious mind is like, yes, this is what we want. We are on board. We are going to do everything in our power to help you make this happen because this is what we're craving. Alexandra says, yes, this makes sense. Awesome. Yay. So happy to hear this makes sense. Okay, so you've boiled this down. You've got now your top 3 or 4 values. So what I find really powerful and really helpful, and I think what happens into something to know is like, at a certain point, these are just gonna become ingrained. Like this will just become naturally. The first few times you do this, you might have to kind of be a little more rickety and go through the steps and just know that's normal. Like at this point, it's so easy for me to make a decision and to make one quickly because I kind of just know what's important to me and how to filter things through. But when I was practicing this process the first few times, I had to stop and like actually stop and think and journal this out. And sometimes I still, for bigger decisions, need to journal it out. So know that it could take us like a second to do some journaling. That's okay. You're not doing it wrong. But then I think what's really helpful, and I wrote some questions for you. Let me pull them out so that I actually share the questions I wanted to with you. But once you've got those values out, let's see, where do I have this here? going to give you some questions, some journaling questions you can use to help you then make decisions so you know you're always making the right decision for you and for that true version of success you want in your business. So one of the, let's say you have a decision to make, an easy thing to ask yourself is, so how will this decision affect my top values? So really great question. How will this decision affect my top values? So so many of you know I have a free course that I gave, or that I'm still giving. You can still sign up. We had week 3 launch yesterday, and it's 6 weeks. One of the decisions I had to make was I wanted to share this content. Did I want to give this for free, or did I want to launch this and sell this? That's a big decision as a business owner, right? I mean, I think, I don't know anyone else who's giving away a full length course for free. Like, that was a pretty big decision for me to make in my business, but it was such an easy decision to make because I ran it through my values. And I know my values in my business. I know what's important to me as a business owner. It made it so easy to make that decision and to know absolutely, I want to be a stand for certain things in our industry. I want to be of service. I want to deliver hella fucking lot more value before I ask for money in exchange. Like, there's just so many values for me where it just made it really easy for me to make that decision, even though it pretty much goes against everything in our industry and everything that, I don't know, is probably taught out there. Really easy decision for me to make though. And so this just is an example in business. Makes it very simple and clear then when you're stuck on a decision. Another question here, what decision will support my top values? So sometimes you have, you're kind of like in a decision, you've got more than one decision to make. And it's like, how do I make this decision? Like, on the surface, they both seem great, or they both don't seem great. So this is something when I invest in my business, when many of you know I've worked with my coach for years. When I first invested in her services, it was either more or the same as my New York City rent at the time. But either way, it was literally when I added in rent and coaching fees, it was more than I made per month at the time from both my business and my part-time job. So that was a really tough decision, but it actually wasn't that tough. I made it pretty quickly. I remember being on a walk with my boyfriend. We literally just talked through this because I filtered it through my values, and it made it very easy. I mean, I also talked to my future self, many of you know that, but it made it really easy. I filtered it through my values and what my top priorities and values were at the time, which made that decision very simple instead of seeming like, oh, there's these 2 big things I can't, like yes or no, what should I do? And so I think, again, if you're making a decision between 2 things, that can really help simplify, okay, how does this decision either way affect those top 3 or 4 values of mine? And then again, another just question within the same vein here is, what decision most aligns with my top values? So again, in your business, if you're clear on your top values, really easy if you're clear on what those are, just ask what aligns with my top values. So if family is one of your top values, if free time, if ease, if significance, if community, if connection, right? All top values. If, let's say your top values were connection, significance, and ease, right? You could say, how does this decision affect these top values? Which those values are going to help you get clear on what is the right decision for you, which means you're always going to be making the right decision. And then you can know there's never a wrong decision you can make because you're always making the right decision that's aligned to your values at the time. And that doesn't mean you can't change your mind if your values change. Values change. You can also, consciously choose to change your values, right? So here's an example of why you might change your values and why you might consciously choose that. Let's say my top values were family, connection, and ease, but I wanted to get into shape. I might need to change and consciously choose that one of my top values is fitness, which is going to help me make decisions where if I was leaving ease as my top value, I might not make the same decision, right? Ease and comfort might say, hit the snooze button. Knowing, oh wait, I have consciously chosen to reorder my values so that I can make these clear decisions and really move towards what I want to create in my life. I have moved fitness up to the top. I'm now going to filter decisions through this. So you can consciously choose to readjust those so that they serve what you want to create in your life. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm kind of like slipping that in the middle of these questions here. Courtney says, love the example of running it through your values. Yay. I swear it makes everything so much easier because again, then you're not stuck in, well, so-and-so said this, and so-and-so said this, and so-and-so said that. It's like, it doesn't matter, because all of the so-and-sos out there, they have their own values. They have their own priorities that they're filtering their decision and they're filtering their advice through. And I think this makes it so much easier to get our eyes back on our own business paper, which I always think is powerful in business. As soon as your eyes are out there on other people's businesses, that's when we all start to spin out, right? As soon as we get our eyes back on our own paper, that's when we get into alignment and we can have faster, quicker results in our business. Okay, some more questions for you that, this is what's fun. I was saying this at the beginning of the live. Oh, I need to sip the water, you guys. I wanted to talk about this today, and I was sharing this at the beginning of the live. I remembered I think my first opt-in or my second opt-in, one of my first opt-ins. I think my first opt-in ever was on celebrations. Maybe this was my second opt-in, was on decision-making. So these questions talk about like repurposing and how things come full circle. Some of these questions are from that, which is very, very fun. But that's when I was a general life coach and not a business coach. So it's just really cool to see how things just come full circle and how all the dots connect. Okay, so another question for you. How can you bring more of your top values to this situation, so to your business? So if you know your core top values, that's just a great thing, again, to be able to filter decisions through, to get clear on how can I bring more of this value to this decision, to my business, that is just also going to shape what decisions you're making. So I want to get fully booked. Great. My top value is ease, or my top value is connection, or my top value is significance. My top value is family. How can I bring more of that value to the strategy I'm choosing to get fully booked? So just an example there. And just something to play with that I think will just help put a different tone to those decisions you're making and just make it so much easier to see when you have three choices where it's like this one. One of my top values is connection. It is not a coincidence that I built a Facebook group that is all about connection as one of my strategies for marketing and building my business, right? It is not a coincidence that part of what I do is connect on a one-on-one call, and that I have built my entire business model around one-on-one calls very intentionally, because that is one of my top values. So is being of service. So like none of these things in my business are a coincidence, right? Those are all very intentional decisions that are based on my values. Similarly, when I coach clients and we're getting clear on their business model or what serves them, even if I'm not saying to them, what's your top value? I'm always asking questions to get clear on what actually serves them and what they want, not what serves me or what works for me in my business, because most of them don't necessarily want to have the same business model, the same strategy, because they have very different values. They have a very different version of success for them than I do, which is a beautiful thing. But just to give some context there. Do I have any other questions here? I think those are the top questions I wanted to leave you with. So I'm going to recap those, and then I will give you I'll give you one more example if you want, but let me know if you have any questions. So I'm just going to recap those questions in case any of you want to be able to write those down. How will this decision affect my top values? What decision will most support my top values? Which decision most aligns with my top values? And how can you bring more of your top values to this situation or decision, or to your business or to this decision? So, and again, those values, just to kind of recap there, those values are more of that emotion or that state that kind of after you brain dump everything that's important to you in business, everything that really helps make you you, everything that you really crave and desire, when you boil all of that brain dump list down, you keep asking, what does this give me? Why does this matter? What does this give me? Why does this matter? When you keep boiling that down, you're gonna get those, I think it's Daniel Laporte who's this core desired state, core desired feeling. She has a great book on that, BTW. But those are going to be those values. And then again, just a reminder there, see if you can boil that down to 5 to 8, and then see if you can get clear on those top 3 to 5, and check in with yourself. Are the top values you're deciding on and choosing, do they serve your current season of business and your current business goals, or do you need to readjust and choose another value to filter your decisions through to help get you what you want? Alexander says, this has given me insight on why I do certain things in my business and how I built my offer. Oh, I'm so happy to hear this is giving you some insight. That is music to my ears. Thank you for sharing that. It makes me so happy. Okay, let me just see here if there's anything else I wanted to share, questions. I think the main thing I wanted to close here with is, if you use this framework, this tool, I think what's beautiful here is it just simplifies making decisions in your business. And again, it takes the guesswork out, and it takes out that stress and worry that you're going to make the wrong decision. I remember when I decided very intentionally to pick up my life from LA and start over in New York City. Y'all, I don't know how many of you know this story. I went on vacation. This was before I started my business, before I even knew coaching was an industry. I was like in a trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up phase of my life, and I took a trip to visit some girlfriends in New York City, and I just got flooded with I have to live here. I need to live here. I came back, and within a month I had decided to quit my job, sell my car, break my lease, move to New York City without a job, and essentially start my life over. But it was such an easy decision I shouldn't say it was so easy. I had to do some work to get clear on the decision, but it was an easier decision to make, and it was easier to make it quickly and to take action on it because of some of the things I was really clear on, and some of my values at the time, and really what I knew was important. And so looking back, I didn't know this tool then, but I can see how I, without knowing, applied this tool to that decision. And I share that because what I want to help you see is, and that allowed me to make a quick decision instead of staying in indecision for months and months and months, which is when things get really hard. And when we either don't make a decision, or when we spend a year looping around something, that's when it gets really confusing, right? When you're weighing something back and forth for months and months and months, it becomes heavy. You just get so much more information. It's it's really tough to then finally make that decision and then to take action. And that slows down everything in your life. Similarly in business, if you're not able to make those quick decisions, what happens is then all of this time and mental energy gets wasted in indecision and stuck trying to make that decision, which slows down action taking, which slows down the results you get. And that's when we just stretch out what we're creating in business. And I think something you'll notice with successful business owners and entrepreneurs, they tend to make decisions very quickly and trust those decisions. And they're usually very slow to change the decisions they've made, because they know the power of those decisions, and they know how, if they're making decisions from this place, it's really hard to screw them up. And they can trust those decisions because of that. So I think it's just a helpful thing just to kind of see that play out. But the reason I was sharing the LA to New York story, aside from just using that as an example, I remember at the time I was seeing a therapist / coach, it was a little bit of both, in LA, and I remembered worrying, was I making the wrong decision? And what he said at the time was, it's just a decision. You can't make the wrong decision unless you don't make a decision intentionally, and you can always redecide. But it was sort of this permission to remember that I was making a very intentional decision that was very clear based on those values at the time and was important to me at the time. And just removing that pressure from and then you can't make the wrong decision, and seeing it's simply a decision. That's all it is. It's a decision, which means it really can't be right or wrong. Again, unless you're not being intentional, or unless you're allowing someone else to make it for you by default because you're not consciously choosing, right? You're stuck in indecision. And I think there's just something there to seeing yes, decisions are important. Yes, I want to invite you to make quick decisions and smart decisions that are aligned to your values. And if you're doing that, it's just a decision. You can't fuck it up unless you just don't allow yourself to make that decision, or you don't give yourself that permission, or you're putting all that pressure on. And you can redecide at any time when you have more information or when you have more data. I have made plenty of decisions in my business that were aligned to my values, that were absolutely right for me at the time. And then as I moved through them and got more data and got more clarity, I made a new decision that served me better, because suddenly there was a new set of information where I was couldn't have known this unless I made this decision, but this decision is no longer the right decision for me. Let me simply make a new decision. And so I share that because I just want to help release some of the pressure. And so you can see that as long as you're if you're consciously, intentionally making decisions and showing up for them, you can't screw it up. You only screw it up when you bury your head in the sand, or you decide not to choose, or you decide to loop around something for months and months and months and to stay in indecision and not take action. But I promise you can't screw it up. And even those so-called decisions that you make quickly, and you get the data back and you want to make a new decision, that was still the right decision because it gives you all that data and information. So hopefully that lands. I don't know if you guys want an example of that. I'm trying to think of a good example. So here's a good example. At probably my first year of business, I set up a membership type offer. Really great offer. I sold it. I still love it. And it was the right decision for me at the time. It was completely aligned to a lot of things. I thought it was the right decision. And as I ran it and I got more data, I realized how I thought it was aligned to my values was not in fact true. And it was something that I ended up dissolving over some time. There's probably some people who still remember that because I've had people in my world for a while. And so I share that because that was still the right decision. I would not go back and do something different. I'm so glad for that decision. I just got new data and information because I was willing to make a clear and intentional decision and take action on it. That gave me new clarity and information, which I then looked at and made a new decision based on that was aligned to my values. And it gave me the gift of, it makes it so much easier to make more decisions moving forward because I have that new information, experience, insight. So I hope that's a helpful example because I just really want to make this reminder that yes, decisions are important. It's such a valuable skill, and remove the pressure. I promise you can't screw it up. They're just decisions. And I think sometimes it's that pressure that keeps people in indecision. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I am gonna wrap this up with just kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. As business owners, our decisions are our currency, right? Everything that is your current result today, do the exercise I did. Trace it back to all the different decisions you've made that have added up over time and compounded to where you're currently sitting, just so you can see that power of your decisions, and not to put pressure on them, but just so you can really see the power of decisions, especially when you're intentionally making decisions. And I think just again, seeing that those decisions add up over time and they compound. So just like when you add money into your retirement or into the stock market and you keep reinvesting, at first it just seems to add up a little bit and then all of a sudden it compounds. It's very similar with those decisions when you're making them intentionally in your business. Not making a decision is still a decision. And then all decisions are a values clarification. So if you can get clear on those values in your business and in your personal life, you can use those to filter your decisions through. So you can always ensure you're making the right decision for you, your business, and your version of success to really help take out some of that guesswork. Alexandra says, thank you so much for sharing your secret. So happy to share my secrets. I'm an open book, y'all. So I will share all the secrets always. So with that, what I will say is if any of y'all have something specific you want me to share around or you're curious about from a business mindset perspective, clarity, the strategy or action, pop a message here on the replay or pop it in my Facebook group or send me a DM. I'm always basing this based on usually what I'm supporting clients with behind the scenes or what I'm experiencing in my business behind the scenes. But I'm always happy if there's a specific topic. I think I shared with y'all, that's how we got that free sales course. Someone in this group, I think it was Tiffany, asked me for more trainings on sales. And so that was, the impetus for originally creating that. So feel free to share. I will, as long as it's something I feel like I can help you around, always I will add that to the bank of what I'll share with you. And then a reminder, if you did want to join us for Sellout without feeling like a sellout, that is my free 6-week sales course. It is a full-length course. I'm not holding back on y'all. For those of you who have joined, you will attest to that. I've already had people give me lovely feedback on it. You can still sign up and you will instantly get access to the first 3 weeks. And this is 6 weeks of content of course. So I'll make sure I drop a link for this. If you scroll up to the top of the Facebook group, that banner also has a link if you want to join us and kind of play catch up with that material. You're welcome to join us now. And then if you are interested in more support in your business around making those decisions, around getting clear on the values in your business, and around how do you take all of this, clear out the mindset gunk that helps, that gets us in our own way, and really make those intentional decisions around your strategy and around how you're showing up in your business so that you can get fully booked, so that you can build and grow scale that business that is profitable, that is sustainable, and do it your way, which is so, so, so important to me when I'm supporting my clients. Book a call with me. Let's chat about how I can support you. I am fully booked, overbooked, but we are opening up some spots in December, January. I have to double check. I think January might be where we're at. But we're opening up my wait list and we're opening up some spots. So book a call with me and I would love to chat about that with you and see how I can support you to make more money your way doing what you love. All right, I love you all. I'll be back next Tuesday and we will jam on another topic.